Alright, what is up guys, it is Storm back here with another video, and in this one I am bringing you part 32 to Mightless and My Hero Academia story by the Mysterious Banana. Now if you want to check this story out for yourself, the link to it will be down in the description below. But before that, if you like the content you're seeing, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I mean, they're all free, so why not? If you want some dope channel merch links, that'll be down in the description below, and if you want to see more of me, be sure to go check out my other channels and go follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, which will all be linked down below. But without further ado, why don't we just dive right on in. A portal appeared a few miles away from the lodgings, and out came a handful of students, including Toru, Koda, Mineta, Ojiro, and Ida. While trying to recompose themselves, Mineta suddenly started doing what he did best, being a pussy. What the hell is going on? Midori is a villain? Where did he warp us? Are there more? Why us? Why me? I don't want to die! Calm down. We can't think about that right now. Let's just focus on getting back to camp. We need to contact the teachers too. Ida tried to calm everyone, although deep down, he too was scared and confused. We shouldn't be too far from camp. We all have our GPS, correct? Yeah, we do. Now let's just get out of here. This forest at night gives me the creeps, Koda answered as the group started to make their way back to camp. While the walk was uneventful, the students couldn't help but feel as though something would pop out around the corner. Suddenly, a voice came to their heads and startled them. Luckily, they recognized the voice. Everyone, this is Mandalay. Right now we are trying to contact everyone we can find. We've lost contact with Izuku. This is a code red. You are authorized to fight back. The camps have been overrun by villains. Do not try to head back. I repeat, do not try to head back, the voice told them. What the? Lost contact? The camp's overrun. What's going on here? Ida yelled out, frustrated. So Izuku's not coming to save us, but he has to. Where would he have gone? Suddenly, Toru and Mineta stopped dead in their tracks, as though they were paralyzed. Hakagear, Mineta, what's going on? Why'd you stop? Asked Ojiro. Look, Toru said, pointing straight ahead. The group froze at the sight of the scene lying in front of them. It can't be. In front of them stood a massive blue and purple beast, one with 4 arms, each of which were chainsaws. Its brain stuck out, resembling the Nomu they found at the USJ and the ones that attacked Hosu, but this one seemed to be standing in a puddle of blood, holding something. Wait, is that? Ida uttered out, pointing to what the Nomu was holding. Izuku Sensei's goggles? Looking closer, it was, but cracked, as though the Nomu and him had previously been in a gruesome fight. Only thing was, there was no apparent injury in the creature. We're screwed, we're so screwed. Toru collapsed to her knees, as the Nomu started to slowly make its way towards the group. Its hands morphed into different weapons such as hooks and claws, ready to skewer and impale its next targets. Everyone, run! Koda yelled as he bailed. While everyone scampered like ants, however, Toru, too scared to move, desperately tried crawling away as the multi-armed Goliath inched closer and closer. Coming into range, it raised its arm, attempting to add another person to its kill count. Just then, as if on instinct, Ojiro, with blinding speed, came in, smacking the Nomu in the head with a tailspin, causing it to stagger. Ojiro? Toru called out, surprised to see him come back. Toru, I need you to run, said the tailed student. But what about... Before she could finish, with blinding speeds, the monster charged in and, with a swing of its inner arm, lodged its chainsaw into Ojiro's shoulder as blood gushed out, making the student yell in pain. Ojiro, the invisible girl cried. Run, Toru, run and don't look back. Without even thinking twice, the girl tucked her non-existent tail between her legs and ran faster than she's ever run. With only him remaining, Ojiro clutched onto the blade of the saw, trying to hold it back so that it didn't slice him in half. Alright, you freak of nature. Time for this kid with the tail to teach you a lesson. With blinding speed, the student spun around, using his tail to try and sweep the Nomu's leg. However, the leg was tougher than he thought. All he was able to do was slightly bump it. Looking down, the Nomu tried to grab him by the neck, but Ojiro managed to thread the needle and slip past him. Clutching his bleeding shoulder, the student collapsed onto a nearby tree, his vision blurry from blood loss. The Nomu, like usual, slowly made its way towards him. Do your worst, he uttered, as he closed his eyes, bracing himself for what was to come. Suddenly, he felt 2 hands grab him as he was whisked away from the range of the Nomu. Don't do that ever again, you hear me? Ida yelled out with a concerned tone. Ida, you came back? Asked Ojiro. We all came back, Ida responded. Suddenly, a barrage of purple balls littered the battlefield, surrounding the Nomu, followed by a swarm of birds, who came charging and pecking the Nomu, making him swing wildly. "Mineta, Koda, you guys came too," he exclaimed. "Hey, we can't let you take all the credit. If we get out of this alive, the girl will obviously give the most attention to the most heroic of the bunch, and I am not missing out on that," Mineta replied. "Now come on, let's kick this thing's ass." "You seem rather pumped, Mineta," Koda commented. "No, we are not fighting that thing. Remember, the camp's been overrun, so our best bet is to regroup with the other pro heroes. So run," Ida suggested. "Then you go ahead. That thing is deceptively fast, Ida. It will catch up. Trust me, I know," Ojiro replied. "Then go on ahead, Ida. Take Ojiro and run. We'll hold him off," Koda said. "Are you sure?" asked Ida. "Positive," Mineta replied. As much as he wanted to protest, Ida knew this was the only option. "Promise me that you'll come back safe," Ida replied, running off, carrying Ojiro. As the duo faced the gargantuan figure, they turned to each other. "Got a plan?" asked Koda. "Nope," Mineta replied. The monster let out a roar, charging at the two. "Then we might as well improvise. Plus ultra," Koda roared. He ran past the beast while small nearby critters such as snakes, poisonous lizards, and bugs followed. "Just think about all the pussy you're gonna get. Just think about all the pussy you're gonna get. Just think about all the pussy you're gonna get," Mineta thought as he plucked 2 more balls from his head, following Koda. Somewhere else, the entire failure squad, including Sero, Kirishima, Kaminari, Sato, and Mina, bumped into their own problems. "And here I was hoping we were gonna fight real heroes," ranted Spinner, who was accompanied by Magni, Twice, and Dabi. "Well, it's your fault for being a lousy picker," Dabi replied. "What's that supposed to mean?" asked the lizard man. "Miss Dude gave us a map hours ago, pointing down where he was gonna warp people and how many he was gonna warp. You didn't even look at who he was warping and immediately picked the one with the most people," replied the scarred villain. "Whatever, let's just get this over with. I heard we were gonna throw a huge celebration after this, and god damn it, I'm a sucker for Kuro Dude's bruise," replied Spinner, unsheathing his blade. As the villains, who had the 5 students surrounded, closed in, the same broadcasted message reached them as well, although it seemed Mandalay was in a hurry and didn't pay attention to who she was broadcasting the message to. So sadly, everyone got it, including the villains. Upon hearing the news, the students were scared shitless. "So not only is Izuku a villain, but now Katsuki is missing? Our camp's been overrun, so we don't know even where to go next. Our teacher is missing and every pro hero has their hands and paws full," Mina yelled out, despair apparent in her voice as her knees were shaking violently. What are we gonna do?" The skin on Kirishima's forearms shifted into a crystalline-like fist as he raised it in a fighting stance, facing the upcoming threat that stood in front of him. His mind was also plagued by Izuku's malicious smiles, which contradicts his innocent demeanor he was previously known for, was set on only one goal: to defeat these new threats that had come upon them. "We fight," the redhead responded to Mina's cries of despair as he charged headfirst into the crowd, immediately punching a hole through the scarred one's chest. While surprised at how fragile the man was, the Frankenstein's monster of a man crumbled and turned to sludge, as someone who looked exactly identical to what the pile of goop previously was popped out from behind the red riots. Wrong one. Upon saying that, Kirishima was doused in a blanket of blue flames, burning off his shirt, and despite his hardening quirk being active, even his skin. "Hang in there, Kiri, I'm coming," Kaminari yelled out, his hands sizzling with electricity. However, he didn't make it far, as he was suddenly shot towards Magni, who was holding up her giant magnets. "You're not going anywhere," she said, smashing her magnet into Kaminari, creating a small crater in the dirt around him as he coughed out blood. "Now, you stay put." Sero was able to pull Kirishima out of the flames by latching onto his legs with his tape, and pulling his scorched body out of the flames. However, before he could pull Kirishima all the way back, his tape was sliced in half by a giant amalgamation of knives that formed a massive sword. "Oh no, you're not going anywhere," Spinner cut in, swinging his massive weapon at Sero, who barely dodged it. Sato, drowning a juice box he carried on for his snack, used his massive strength boost to uproot a tree and threw it at the group. Seeing the upcoming obstacle, Dabi set it ablaze, followed by Spinner jumping in, kicking it apart like a bundle of straws. But behind the tree popped out Kirishima, who nailed Spinner across the face. "Ow, that bastard," Spinner grunted as he spat out some blood. "And here I thought these were the class's bottom students." "What gave you that idea?" asked Kirishima, who was clearly offended by his comments. Well, according to Izuku, you were the only 5 in Class A who failed, explained Dabi. Talk about salt in the wound, Kirishima mumbled. While the failed students fought back the 4 villains, Snipe had his own problems at hand. Someone was facing him directly and he did not look happy. So, we meet at last, Snipe, said the man who seemed rather mad to see him. Yeah, Mr. Sachi. Oh yeah, Sachi, have we met? Asked Snipe. The man didn't seem too offended by his question. Of course you wouldn't know who I was, for a hero like you. I'm but another nameless villain you can riddle with bullets and send to the slammer, am I right? Snipe was confused by his comment. Who was this guy and what did he want? There was no one in his mind that he could think of that could link back to this man. It doesn't matter, my grudge stems from a long time ago, so I wouldn't be surprised if you don't remember. What matters now is that you're here, and I can finally have my revenge, replied Sachi, raising his index, preparing to fire at him. Seeing this, Snipe drew his revolvers, firing back. Thanks to his quirk homing, he was able to shoot all the bullets Sachi fired out of the air, as well as a few towards Sachi himself. The bullets grazed his shoulder, forcing him to fall back into cover. Snipe took this opportunity to advance, while laying down suppressing fire. Good thing I was provided with some support gear, Sachi said to himself, attaching a ring to his indexes. It's a pretty unorthodox move to put a laser sight on a pistol, a finger gun no less, but it should work just fine. Pointing it into the air, he fired 2 rounds first, which ricocheted off the branches towards Snipe. One of the needles was able to pierce Snipe's goggle, stopping only a centimeter away from his eye. Seeing this, Snipe flipped back, while firing 2 more homing bullets, to pinpoint the exact location of where his opponent was. However, one of the bullets traveled upwards, to Snipe's confusion. So, there's 2 of you, huh? He asked, firing at the tree Sachi was behind. The bullets went upwards, as per expected, and the sound of clanking metal followed. From the tree, a young girl fell out, drawing a katana with clear bullet marks, where he supposedly hit. Kim, what are you doing here? This is between me and Snipe, Sachi yelled out, noticing her as well. We can't just leave you hanging. We're the 3 amigos, remember? Me, you, and Irina, replied Yang. Wait, Rina's here too? Asked Sachi. I've been here, a voice called from behind. Suddenly, a small figure jumped out of his hoodie, before growing to normal size. Rina, I thought I told you to stay out of this one. What that earned him was a chop to the head as Irina pouted in annoyance. Listen, we all heard your story. We know it's sad and all, but boo-hoo, what a poor guy. But that doesn't mean you have an excuse to run off and settle some decade-old grudge. You and I started out as a team, so we're gonna go and do this as a team, Irina replied. Hearing this made Sachi smile. Rina, here, one crazy chick, and a pretty damn cute one at that, but you're right, come on, let's kick this guy's ass, he replied. Hey guys, if you're done flirting over there, come over here and help me. I can only deflect this guy's bullets for so long, Yang yelled at the 2, as she was fighting for her life, dodging and deflecting every bullet that came her way. Together? Asked Sachi. Together. Immediately, Irina removed her hairpin and used her quirk to make it gigantic, creating a shield to block all of Snipe's bullets. After a few more rounds, Snipe reached for his belt to reload. Seeing this opportunity, Yang jumped out to slash him, but Snipe had dropped a flashbang, blinding her. The gun hero then pointed his reload pistol at her leg, trying to incapacitate her, but Sachi shot the branch on top of him, dropping it on Snipe's head, causing him to fall back. Irina then ran up to him, attempting to shrink him down while he was still dazed, but Snipe, demonstrating how he was a pro hero, kicked her out of the way, grabbing her by the forearm and threw her over his shoulder. Luckily, the woman landed on 2 feet, turning around, spin-kicking Snipe towards the center of the group. Yang then came in, slashing his right leg with her katana, making him drop to his knees. Sachi then came in, kneeing him across the face, breaking through his mask in the process. Snipe, barely recovering, fired his gun at Sachi, who dodged by reading his hand movements and dodging. The bullet, however, boomeranged back, nearly hitting Sachi in the back, but Irina jumped in and blocked it with her wrist guard, which shattered shortly after. Yang knew not to give her opponents even a moment to catch their breath, however, so the second Snipe fired his gun, she slashed once more at Snipe, the blade breaking through his shoulder pads and lodging itself in Snipe's shoulder. The hero, clutching his shoulder, twisted right and gave her the elbow, knocking her back while slapping her sword. The young girl twirled midair, falling face first onto the dirt road. While Snipe would have tried to knock her out, in the state that he was, he knew he was outnumbered, so he dropped a smoke bomb, hoping to distract them enough to get away. As the sound of a cough was heard through the other side of the smoke screen, Snipe took the opportunity to run the other way. "Crap, he's getting away," Yuuei yelled. "Well, he won't get far," Sachi replied, drowning a white plastic bottle of pills, pointing into the smoke screen. "Rina, make my hand big." Yuuei followed the order, making Sachi's hand big enough to match Izuku's hands when her quirk is active. Killer move, Cactus Gatling. Unloading all of the reserve ammo Sachi stored in his body, what followed was a massive stream of needles, piercing into the smoke screen. While Snipe was indeed injured, however, he successfully was able to flip away from most of the upcoming attack due to its decreased accuracy from the blind firing in the smoke screen. Still, one managed to graze him. "He's still kicking," Young said as Sachi suddenly collapsed. "Don't worry, he won't make it far. I already hit him," he replied, his body going practically limp. "What's with you, Sachi? I didn't know you were this tired," asked Yuuei, resting his head on her lap. "I'm not. Guessing making these needles larger didn't really make too much of a difference," replied Sachi. "What do you mean? You know what I downed earlier, right?" "No, what?" In the distance, Snipe suddenly felt dizzy, his head spinning as his limbs were going numb. Before he could reach his phone to call for backup, everything went black as he collapsed, unconscious. "Sedatives," Sachi replied, nearly passing out. Hearing this, Yang smiled. "I guess you did put that ability to good use," she replied, before giving out a perverted smile. "So, how long are you two planning to stay like this?" With Yang pointing it out, Irina suddenly realized that she was basically Sachi's lap pillow at the moment, as her half-conscious partner was seemingly blushing. "Oh, you know, for a while, it's actually pretty comfortable. I actually feel like taking a nap and sleeping this off," replied Sachi in a drunken tone. His lap pillow, on the other hand, turned 4 shades redder as she flipped the ragdoll of a body into the air, crashing it into a tree. "You idiot!" she yelled, running off red like a chili pepper. "Alright, I deserve that," Sachi replied. From the top of the cliff, Kota stood, speechless at the carnage happening below. On instinct, he knew he had to run back until a massive imposing figure stood in front of him. The man was wearing a black cloak and a mask, covering his face. "Hey there, kiddo. Came up here to enjoy the view," asked the man. "By the way, love that hat. Want to trade?" Sensing danger, Kota ran the other way, but the man, with blinding speed, dashed in front of him, his mask and cloak falling off in the process. Kota, now recognizing his face, had remembered who he was. The villain who murdered his parents years ago. Crying out tears, he froze in horror as the man reached out to grab him. "Come on, kid. Let me have some fun with you." But right before he could grab Kota, a glacier split the two of them up. Turning around, Kota saw Todoroki climbing up the cliff. "Don't worry, Kota. I'm here now," Todoroki said in a comforting tone. "Now go, find somewhere safe and hide. I'll hold him off." Hearing this, Kota ran off, but Todoroki needed to be sure of one thing, to make sure Kota wouldn't get himself into more danger. "Wait, don't run back to camp, it's not safe there. Try finding somewhere else to..." Before Todoroki could finish, the muscle-bound brute smashed through the ice wall like it was cardboard, and smashed Todoroki into the side of the cliff, leaving a small crater in the shape of the student's body. "I was told by my boss to be careful of a certain kid with a burn over his left eye, and white and red hair. How he had both the fusion quirk of ice and fire and the quirk of All Might. I was actually planning on taking you head on, so don't disappoint me," Muscular cackled. "Give me the thrill I've been looking for in a fight." Without replying, the student launched another glacier at him. "I still can't use One for All to its full power. If I'd hit him, I'll just be breaking my arm," he thought to himself. However, the man he fired at seemingly vanished, before appearing right in front of him, untouched by the ice the student sent. Grabbing Todoroki by the face, he pushed him deeper into the side of the cliff before scraping him along the side of it. The vein in Todoroki's forearm started glowing as he hit Muscular in the face, making him let go. One for All 12% organ smash. The hit sent the muscle man stumbling back a little as Todoroki pulled himself out of the cliff, his uniform completely scraped off except for his pants, and the skin on his back bleeding. "Not bad, kid," Muscular replied. "I actually felt that one." As per expected, 10% punches just won't do for this guy. It's either burn him, freeze him, or 100%, thought Todoroki, now dousing him in flames as he was charging towards him. The flames, however, didn't even slow him down, as he brushed it off to the side, kneeing the student in the stomach. "You call that fire? Dobby has burnt me worse before," Muscular laughed, trying to estimate how high he sent the student flying. Before Icy Hawk could even catch his breath, much less recover, the muscle villain jumped up to his level, smashing him back down to the ground, making him cough out more blood. Landing near him, the muscular villain then kicked his already down body, sending it flying a few feet back. Done already? How disappointing. And here I thought you were some big shot, Muscular laughed. Now, to finish off that kid. Hearing this, Todoroki got back up, staggering. Don't you dare touch Koda, he uttered. Oh really? And who's gonna stop me? Asked Muscular. You certainly can't, and none of the pros are nearby. Why do you want that kid anyways? You got what you wanted, so why are you still here? Todoroki snapped. Why? Because why not? It's not like you're preventing shit. Face it, kid. You can't stop us. Weakling. The last bit really bit deep into Todoroki. His father was right for once. He couldn't save anyone if he was weak. Looking at the towering figure, traumatic flashbacks ran by him. The ones of his dad's abusive days. No, the broken student uttered. I can't win. Well, guess that one's down. Guess I'm gonna go after that kid, Muscular said, walking past him, before suddenly turning around and smashing Todoroki's head into the ground. Or not. Suddenly, he felt the rock hit his head as he turned around to see the kid from before. Water hose. My mom and dad. Did you torture them like this before killing them? Koda asked, trembling. Kota, Todoroki uttered as he saw the kid. Water hose. So you're there, kid. What a twist of fate, Muscular said, letting go of Todoroki and walking towards Koda. They're the ones who gave me this glass eye. As the muscular villain approached the kid, Todoroki's half-dead eyes reignited with fire. I don't particularly hold a grudge against him. I killed them just like I wanted to. Of course they tried to stop me, and we all did our best and had to deal with the results. It's only bad when you can't put your money where your mouth is. Muscular laughed sadistically as he lunged at Koda. Just like your pathetic mommy and daddy. Suddenly, he heard the sound of someone jumping behind him, and turned around to see Todoroki, his right half encased in ice. I knew you'd be back, Muscular yelled, throwing a right hook. Todoroki, on the other hand, blocked it, but with his unprotected left arm, which broke on impact. He wasn't using that right part as armor, thought Muscular as the student raised his icy-covered fist. One for all, 100%, Alaska smash! The ice immediately shattered, but was enough to prevent the student's entire arm from breaking, just his wrist and forearm. The blast sent Koda flying off the cliff. Luckily, the student caught him before he could fall off completely. Caught you, the student said with relief. The student then dragged Koda back up to safety. Thanks, Koda smiled. Come on, Koda, let's get out of here. We need to regroup with the pro heroes. However, as the smoke cleared, Todoroki's eyes widened. Muscular was still standing. That was a nice hit. How about I return the favor? The villain laughed. Koda, Todoroki called, as Muscular took out his glass eye, replacing it with what he called his serious eye, which he uses when he fights at full power. Run away as fast as you can. But what about... Suddenly the muscle man came charging at them as Todoroki used his full power fire blast to hold him back. Just run, Koda, forget about me, Todoroki roared, as he tried to hold back the charging Goliath. Muscular was barely slowed by the flames, immediately crashing into Todoroki, who only managed to hold him back by focusing One For All into his legs, which still blasted his flames at point-blank range, but to no effect. You are something else, kid, you know that, Muscular roared. Now, show me blood. Slowly, Todoroki was losing the struggle, his legs breaking under the pressure as he was completely buried under the villain's massive muscles. Sorry, mother, I couldn't make it. Flames were also taking its toll on his body, as both of his hands were also getting scorched due to how close he was firing his flames. Sorry, everyone. All Might. Father. Eventually the flames went out, as the student seemingly died, either crushed to a meaty paste under Muscular or suffocated under all of his muscles. Suddenly, Muscular felt something cold splash all over him. Water? Let him go, cried Koda. Let him go, you monster. Wait your turn, okay, kid? I'll kill you when I'm good and red. Before he could finish, he felt a huge amount of force below him. As if I'd let you, Todoroki roared, overpowering him. I let my guard down. One for all, 1000%. Washington smash! with a huge burst of power. Muscular was knocked off balance, his chest completely exposed. "Is that all you got?" the villain roared, trying to regain balance. Just then, a massive surge of heat erupted from Todoroki, despite from his arms being charred black and riddled with third-degree burns. "Father, give me strength. Prominence, burn!" A massive concentrated beam of fire erupted from Todoroki, blasting into Muscular's chest. This fire, this heat, it feels so familiar," Muscular uttered, coughing out blood as his body was burning up. "Endeavor!" The unconscious flaming body of the villain was sent flying off into the distance, as Todoroki was about to fall, but caught himself, shouting in victory. "Why?" Kota cried. "Even though you didn't know me, why did you?" Todoroki turned to Kota, smiling. His smile looked so familiar to Kota, just like the one of his parents. "Because that's what heroes do," he said, so calmly despite his injuries, before collapsing unconscious. Right before he hit the ground, however, another pair of arms caught him. "You did amazing, young one," said a familiar voice. "I'm proud." "Auntie!" Kota cried as he recognized a pack that showed up, the wild pussycats. "Kota, you're safe." A few other students were also seen following the pro heroes, including Jiro, Hakagir, Aoyama, and Ojiro. "Oh my god, Todoroki, are you okay?" cried Ida in a concerned tone after seeing him in that state. They couldn't blame him, as Todoroki hadn't looked this messed up since his fight with Izuku during the sports festival. Both of his arms looked so charred they looked like they belonged to Anakin after his battle on Mustafar. His legs were dark purple, not to mention bending the wrong way, and the skin on his back was scraped off. "What do we do, Auntie?" asked Kota, crying. "Villains are everywhere, the camp isn't safe, and we don't know what else to expect. We already contacted Yuuei. Backup should be arriving in an hour. Right now, we have to find the missing students, make sure everyone's safe, and hold out until the rest of the pro heroes arrive," replied Mandalay. "Ragdoll, go find the remaining students with Tiger. Me and Pixie Bob will stay here to tend to the kid's wounds. With his injuries, we won't be getting far." "So this will be the temporary base then?" asked Tiger. "Yes, Pixie Bob will set up some walls with her quirk. Once you find the rest of the students, bring them here. We'll hold out until the heroes arrive," ordered Mandalay. "Roger," the two pussycats said, running off. While wailing through the woods, Uraraka and Tsuyu got another message sent to them via telepathy. "To all of you who are still out there, we are grouped up at the cliffside near the camp. Meet up with us at the cliffside near the camp. The pro heroes will be arriving soon, so don't be alarmed." "You heard that, Ochako?" "Yeah, Tsuyu, come on, let's go." While heading to the cliffside, however, Tsuyu noticed that her classmate was not feeling too good. "Is everything alright?" asked Tsuyu. "Yeah, I mean, it's just that it's about Izuku, isn't it?" "What? No, it's not about that. I just... Don't lie, Ochako. I've seen you around Midoriya, acting all fluttery. It must not be easy, learning that he was in fact the villain who attacked us at the USJ, the one who killed all those heroes, and the one who led the same villains who raided the main agency." Tsuyu told her sternly. "Listen, whatever's on your mind, tell me. I can help." The brunette sighed. I don't know what to think. I've always admired Izuku. The fact that he's a villain is just so much to take in. I mean, was anything he told me true? Does he really have a girlfriend? What's his cousin gonna think? His mother? I don't even know who to trust anymore," the young girl explained, on the verge of tears. "Don't be this way, Ochako. We'll make it out of this okay, and when we do, we'll get to the bottom of this," Tsuyu said, comforting her by patting her back as she started to cry. Suddenly, a noise was heard, sounding like someone was near. Before they could figure out what, a throwing knife came out of the dark, nearly hitting Ochako. "Ochako, look out," Tsuyu said, pushing her out of the way, allowing the knife to miss both the girls. "Found you, you bitch," a voice was heard. Suddenly, a blonde girl wearing a cardigan and a mask similar to that of Bane came charging in, completely ignoring Tsuyu and going straight for Ochako. Wait, you're Izuku's girlfriend," Ochako realized. "So you were a villain too? And you're that brown-haired slut that's always hanging around my Izu. If you think you can steal him from me, then quit dreaming," Toga yelled back in a mixture of giddiness and anger. Suddenly, Tsuyu's tongue came flying in, wrapping around Ochako and flinging her away. "We need to run, now," Tsuyu called out. "Yeah, let's go," Uraraka replied. Suddenly, two bodies were sent flying, landing between the conflicting girls. Toga recognized the two that were sent flying, Jack and Moonfish. What's going on? Asked Toga. Suddenly, massive black arms came in, slicing all the nearby trees. While Toga was able to dodge, a greatly injured Shoji jumped in, protecting Ochako and Tsuyu. Shoji, what's going on? Asked Tsuyu. It's Tokoyami. His quirk is out of control. We were attacked by these three villains. They beat us really badly, but then one of them gassed Tokoyami, putting him to sleep. Without his consciousness holding him back and with us being submerged in complete darkness, Dark Shadow went berserk, Shoji explained, as the giant black mask crawled towards the group, dragging its unconscious master in the process. More blood need to kill, Dark Shadow uttered, swinging wildly. Get down, Shoji yelled as the black mask slowly went towards Toga. A little help, anyone? She asked. Dark Shadow swung its claws at her, as she flipped and twirled to dodge them. Damn, and I was hoping to get my revenge. Now I have to deal with this thing. While backing up, however, Toga tripped, falling over. All she could do was crawl back as the black beast made its way closer and closer towards her. Closing her eyes, she braced herself for impact. But then, nothing. Reopening them, the rampaging beast was gone. All that remained was a pearl. You can't be a shadow without anything to be a shadow of, said a familiar character. Mr. Compress, Toga called out. In the flesh. I was sort of late to the party, so my apologies. Now, what should we do with these fine ladies and gentlemen? Asked the masked jester. Turn the octopus and the frog into pearls. The brunette saw mine, ordered Toga. Very well, said Mr. Compress, putting Tokoyami's pearl in his pocket. Before hopping towards the three, Shoji swung his arm, hoping to hit him, but the man jumped over him, immediately converting him into a pearl. Upon seeing this, Tsuyu grabbed Ochako by the arm and ran. The villain followed and jumped at Tsuyu, about to turn her into a pearl, but before he could touch her, Ochako tapped the man's wrist, using her quirk to float him upwards. In doing so, however, Toga was able to launch one of her needles from her support gear, stabbing her in the shoulder. Suck her dry, Toga cheered with a childlike squeal, leaping towards the girl she harpooned. The frog girl let go of Ochako, now focusing on Toga, but then felt a hand touch her from above, and before she knew it, she was now also a pearl. So she lost focus when you pricked her. Nice, Mr. Compress commented, putting the two pearls in his pocket. One left. Assuming a fighting pose, she prepared for the worst. Suddenly, before the two could torture her, the two villains were knocked back by some familiar faces. Hands off our friends, Sato and Kirishima shouted, punching Toga and Mr. Compress respectively. Sato, Kirishima, you're both here, Ochako cried out. So are we, the other students who were with them said, kicking the two villains again before they could have a chance to recover. And I'm here too, Sarah said, popping up at last. Wait, you bunch? Weren't Dabi and the gang supposed to be taking care of you? Asked Mr. Compress. Yeah, but luckily we learned from our failure in the practical exams we failed in, Mina said with pride. Much like how Nezu sealed our exits by knocking down the walls during our failed exams, Mina and I knocked down the nearby trees in a way that would slow the villain group down long enough for us to make our escape, Kaminari added, also smiling. Now come on, let's do this. We have them outnumbered 6-2. Careful, the guy on the right can turn people into pearls. He cut Tsuyu, Shoji, and Tokoyami, Ochako warned. Then looks like it's up to us to get them back, Kirishima yelled out, charging at the two, followed by the other 5 students. Looks like we're actually outnumbered, observed Mr. Compress. Should we fall back and regroup? Sounds good. Hey Misty, warp us out of here, Toga called out. As a dark portal opened, the two were about to jump in, but just then, Mr. Compress slipped on something slimy, falling over and dropping his marbles. What is this stuff? The masked, top-hatted villain cursed, covered in the white slimy substance. It's my slip acid. I secreted some when I kicked you, Mina replied, grabbing 2 of the marbles. I got 2 of them, she called out. And they got you, Mr. Compress retorted, releasing the 2 prisoners, who turned out to be Tokoyami and Shoji, who due to his size and weight made Mina collapse under the 2. Toga grabbed the other marble and was about to head into the portal until Ochako ran in quite impressive speeds due to her erasing her own gravity, and tackled her sideways, making her drop the marbles. As the 2 of them rolled onto the dirt floor, the brunette was able to get the upper hand, snatching Toga's arm and putting her in an arm lock. It's time for you to receive your rock-hard pounding, yelled Kirishima as he tried to punch Mr. Compress. Phrasing, sung the villain, leaping out of the way. I got him, yelled Kaminari, trying to grab the villain, but he slipped away still. Damn, this guy's just too damn slippery and fast, Zero commented. The villain looking to his right saw Toga, struggling to get free from Ochako's hold, so he pulled out one of his marbles and launched it at her. Ochako turned around, expecting a lot of things, but Mina was not one of the things she was expecting as the pink girl crashed into her, freeing Toga. Sorry, he marbled me, Mina cried. In the distance, Kaminari was seen, crushed by Sato, who was falling out of the sky. They got me too, the guy cried. Alright, just get your lips off me, Kaminari yelled back in annoyance. Toga, now free, ran to Mr. Compress, passing him the marble as they both ran to the portal. Give her back, Ochako cried out. Oh, don't worry, we'll let you see her for one last time before we kidnap her, Toga replied with a sadistic smile, holding up the marble containing her. Mr. Compress, release her, okay? Before the villain could do it, however, a bird came flying in out of nowhere, snatching the pearl. Right as Tsuyu was freed. What? The two villains yelled confused as Tsuyu hopped back to the group. Right on time, a voice was heard from the distance. It was Kota. Sure, he looked like they just threw him into a meat grinder, but he was still there, carrying an equally injured Mineta. Kota, Mineta, where have you been? Asked Kirishima, hugging his classmates. We were fighting this huge Nomu in order to save Ojiro, Hokage, and Ida. We were all like, leave it to us, and they were all like, promise me you'll make it back alive. It was so heroic and cool, you should have seen me, Mineta answered. You? Fighting a Nomu? Yeah, quit lying, Ochako laughed. It's not a joke, Mineta yelled back as the 6 other students burst into laughter, even the villains. I'm serious. He's not actually kidding, added a third voice. They were actually distracting the Nomu pretty well, although I did help in the end. The group turned around, wondering who it was also playing along with the joke. To their surprise, it was Momo. So, do you really think I would lie? Asked Momo. The former villain sat face to face with Izuku, who waltzed in with minimal effort, making him wonder if he actually managed to defeat the pro heroes and students. Facing the men he wanted to kill for so long, Shigaraki cursed for letting himself get tied up by Aizawa. The intense mood suddenly dispelled as Izuku turned away, heading towards the teacher's lounge. A few drops of sweat ran down Shigaraki's head as he heard the sound of Izuku flipping the room upside down, looking for something. A minute later, the kid came out, downing a can of beer. I went through 2 days of meaningless torture. I fucking deserve this, Izuku said, downing the whole can in one gulp, before turning to Shigaraki, retaking his menacing persona. So, as I was saying, hello, Tomura Shigaraki. Mightless, the hand man grunted, almost free from his bonds. I'm impressed, Shigaraki. For someone who hates heroes so much, you managed to throw that hate aside, giving yourself up to the heroes, just to have a chance to catch me, Mightless congratulated. Unfortunately, it seems that typical from someone like you, your plan was never thought through. What do you mean? The man yelled back. What did you think I was gonna do should the heroes find out? Just surrender and turn myself in while my men have the entire force surrounded? We have you outnumbered, and more importantly, you now hold no more importance nor threat to us. You have no more importance to the heroes, to the villains, Izuku said while removing his black club. And no quirk. Before Shigaraki could rebut, the young villain grabbed him by the neck as the latter felt a surging pain pulsating through his body, making him yell in agony. The world around him was going black, and he could even see the light at the distance. Not like this, Shigaraki cried. Not like this. Eventually, the thrashing stopped, as the former villain collapsed on the floor, limp. Izuku, seeing this, gave out a haunting smile, walking towards the corner, and picked up an apple. The fruit immediately shriveled up as Izuku laid all 5 of his fingers on it, crumbling to dust. This is quite the quirk you have, Shigaraki. I'll put it to good use, Izuku commented. Suddenly, to his surprise, he heard muttering coming from what should have been Shigaraki's comatose corpse. Help me. Help. Seeing this, Izuku raised an eyebrow in confusion. He's still conscious? Having your quirk pulled out of you would normally put you in a comatose state for at least a week. The only reason I stayed awake when Sensei removed my quirk was because it was a given quirk, not a natural one. Did his sheer willpower prevent him from succumbing to purgatory? How interesting, he said to himself, before heading towards his half-dead body. Oh well, what the hey. Squatting down, he took Shigaraki's hand mask off his face. Well, as much as I'd love to kill you, I still need you to do one more thing for me. so at least you'll be useful for once, he told him, before walking out of the lounge, where the hounds were currently. Goodbye for now, Shigaraki. Hey boss, I think it's time to pull out. The pro heroes are arriving, Alpha told his boss, as helicopters were closing in the distance. I guess you're right, Izuku replied, pulling out his walkie-talkie. To all remaining units, retreat to base. We got our objective. Suddenly, a massive amount of black portals appeared in the current location of the villains. Dabi's group, still searching for the 5 students that got away, got the message, followed by the portal 2 seconds later. Each member walked in safely. Toga and Mr. Compress were already halfway in the portal, so they got away no problem while their opponents were still laughing. Sachi had to be carried by Irina into the portal, while Yang followed, carrying the unconscious body of Snipe. The Nomu was actually one of the last ones though, because it had to backtrack in order to carry back the pro hero he hunted down. Hours later, the remaining students were found on their way to the cliffside by the 2 pussycats, as they were escorted back safely. A few minutes later, the heroes arrived and evacuated the students. But although the students were safe, things were not looking good. There were 7 pro heroes in total, along with 40 students. In the end, 2 pro heroes went missing, including Snipe and Eraserhead, whose goggles were later found in a pool of blood. And out of the 40 students, one turned out to be not only a traitor and spy, but also the leader of the League of Villains. On the plus side, 5 villains were held in custody, 4 of which were formerly on several wanted lists, while one of them seemed to have mysteriously lost his quirk. But the downside was, 13 students received injuries of various degrees, 4 of which were considered severe, and 1 under the name Katsuki Bakugo went missing. This event would leave its mark in hero history, an event named the Training Camp Horror. And while the horror may be over, for now, this was a complete defeat on the hero side. And what was worse was that the nightmare was far from over. Boss, we've successfully transferred the last of our staff to our new hideouts, said a man covered in black mist. Very good, replied the boss, Mightless, letting out a maniacal smile. Time to unleash Phase 2. 愛してる